Hope everyone had a good month. It's been a really good year for Hummingbot Foundation. Kind of close out the right way and really start to establish a cadence of these monthly calls again, both releases as well as community calls. Right. So here's the agenda. Feel free to drop any questions here in the chat, and I'll just kind of go through this agenda here that I pasted. Should be public. But overall, because we're an open source project, we're trying to really use these community calls to give information to the community on what's new in each release, what we're doing with the Quants Lab, live streams of marketing and educational series and so forth. For those of you who are new, I'm Mike, one of the founders of Hummingbot. Kind of like represent the foundation, which is a team of people really operating the foundation, which is more like basically like a DAO. So the way Hummingbot works is that we have a release every month, and that release has different fixes to different exchange connectors, new strategies. And so I'll try to use this time to just cover what's in every monthly release. So let's get started. So the 2.2 release will be coming in about 1 week. We're making some last minute checks, but there's actually a lot of new improvements in this release. So I wanted to take a few minutes and cover what they are. We have a big improvement coming in the grid executor and the arbitrage executor. So these are new strategies that use the v2 framework to implement a grid trading strategy and an arbitrage strategy, respectively. So we had the arbitrage executor before, but this improvement will make it much more usable. In addition, you should be able to use new exchange connectors on Gateway as well, because we've made some fixes to the Pancake swap connector, and we've introduced an experimental Solana and Jupiter connector into Gateway. So in this 2.2 release, we recommend that you try out this Grid Strike controller, which uses the grid executor. You should probably want to run this on like an order book exchange, like Binance Perpetual or Hyperliquid. And we also recommend trying out the new arbitrage executor on Jupiter, on Pancake, and other AMM dexes. One thing to note is that some of this stuff is pretty new, so definitely you should expect some teething issues. When you're kind of using these new connectors, but overall they should be operational. Here's basically all the PR that have been merged into the development branch already. We also added back the strategy performance page into dashboard. This is a page that will allow you to analyze the performance of a strategy that you've run. A lot of new updates in this release. We're shooting for, I believe, next Monday for the release date, but it might get pushed back. But it should definitely be sometime before the end of this month for the 2.2 release. You can already test out all this stuff, which is already merged into the development branch, available in both source and on Docker. The other thing we've been doing lately is establish a weekly live stream series. So over the past few weeks, Fede did a first series focused on Quants Lab, where he walked through how to use Quants Lab. He basically took a few strategies that the community wanted to create, and he showed how to basically create these strategies from scratch in Quants Lab, how to backtest them, how to optimize them, and how to basically deploy them using Hummingbot. So check out this video here on YouTube, and I think there's a whole series of videos where he kind of walks through Quants Lab. Starting next Friday, we'll be starting a new series focused on AMM strategies. So this Friday, I'll kind of lay out the current kind of status quo in terms of what Hummingbot supports for AMM strategies on both, basically using Gateway, and then I'll kind of start a preview what we're building with LARP, and also just generally speaking, I'll try to explain both the theory and how to actually do it in Hummingbot, some of these strategies starting next week. But overall, I think there's a lot here because for many of you, you're probably not as familiar with the dexes as you are with the order book sexes. So I think that there's a lot to cover in terms of like the nuances between and the differences between the AMMs and the sexes. Another thing I want to call out is we recently published this new directional strategies video on our YouTube. This one, just like the other ones in this v2.1 series, it tries to kind of explain how you can do a strategy using the traditional Hummingbot CLI tool. I show a very simple directional RSI strategy using that method. And then I also show how to set up a more sophisticated strategy using Dashboard, which allows you to do backtesting and deploy multiple controllers from one instance. So hopefully this video will kind of like illustrate and clarify how you can use Hummingbot both like the old way as well as a new way to run the same types of strategies. Next thing I want to call out, we recently added a new HBOT Purchases tab to the HBOT Tracker. And that's because this poll, community voted for the foundation to buy back some HBOT tokens using a portion of the fee share that we collect from the one exchange. So the community picked OKX. For the 3 months after this poll was completed, we will be buying back basically fees from OKX. So this is tracked in this this sheet here in HBOT Tracker. So here there's a new HBOT Purchases tab, and so you can see here we've listed the fees collected from OKX on a weekly basis. This is pretty similar. We collect similar amounts from our other top exchanges, so HTX, Binance, Gate, KuCoin, and OKX. And so for this first experimental buyback, the community allocated basically access to buy back 50% of the OKX fee share. So we've been doing that, and so we've done 2 transactions already. So you can see the average price, the link to the transaction, as well as how much of USDC and HBOT was spent. So we're actually pretty excited about this because I think that obviously we want HBOT to be really held by the community. So we give it out to developers for maintaining the code base, fixing bugs, and so forth. However, we also want to make sure that the monetary value of HBOT is at the very least stable. So I think this is an important initiative because for the first time, we're starting to balance the supply and the demand of HBOT in the market. And so we're hopeful that this initiative, and if people want to propose similar initiatives in the future, we do think there's enough kind of resources now on the foundation side to start doing these kind of programmatic buybacks. And then that hopefully that way we can kind of and not just give away tokens, but also buy them back and balance and the amount of HBOT in the market. Next, I want to cover bounties. So bounties have become an important part of what we do at Hummingbot because while we have a few large exchanges that support us, we support many other exchanges in the code base. So we recently started working with certain exchanges to basically allocate wallets for them and use funds from those wallets in order to fix bugs and to upgrade their connectors. So recently we started doing this with Dexalot. So if you look at the connector pots tab in HBOT Tracker, you'll see a new column called there's HBOT available and USDC available for each exchange connector. So the HBOT available comes from quarterly voting that the community does in polls. So as a reminder, these polls, the top exchanges in each category receive an allocation of HBOT, which is then used to pay developers. In addition, Dexalot has also funded a shared wallet with 2,000 USDC as initial sum, and our team will be using this amount to basically identify bug fixes for Dexalot, upgrades like supporting backtesting, or other potential upgrades in the future, and we'll be using this amount to pay for bounties. So I think this really creates a win-win scenario because on the Dexalot side, they have peace of mind that their exchange connector is actually working properly, and it allows us to compensate a developer, for continuing to fix bugs for Dexalot. So we're excited about this bounties overall. We pay out bounties every release. Whenever after release, we basically pay out all the bounties have been resolved in that release. So recently, we paid out ones like community developer Yang Kong upgraded Dexalot to a direct Python connector, so now it works much better. And we also, paid developers who fixed the Bybit perpetual connector, Coinbase, as well as other exchanges as well. In this release, so we have a few bounties that are pending payout. One of them is so there was an API upgrade to Dexalot that the Yang Kong resolved. So we'll be making that fix, and this is the first kind of improvement that's coming out of the Dexalot bounties wallet. I also want to give a shout out to Emerald in case he's on. I don't see him on the audience, but he's usually in these calls. So Emerald added a new guide to on how to use injective with Hummingbot. This guide is very comprehensive, and it shows you how to set up injective, and also has a bunch of tips and tricks for trading with its best experience. So if you're trading on injective, definitely check out this guide. In addition, a few other bounties we're going to pay out. We had a community developer who added the Hyperliquid spot connector. So again, this was also another bounty that was funded from the Hyperliquid connector pot. Congratulations, Israeli82, for completing that bounty. In addition, I actually did a fix. I'm actually probably not going to set this bounty. I'll give this to the foundation. But I completed bounty as well for fixing PancakeSwap. Can I add more bugs like this? This bug fix, I think, only took me about an hour of work to really dive in and understand how to fix. So I think a lot of these bug fixes really should be ones that the community developers can take on. And also, thank you, Flanagan Steve, for fixing the adding the Sipoli tests. Adding tests are an important aspect for Hummingbot in general, and so I think they're a really good use case for bounties. We have a couple bounties ongoing. There's a developer who's improving Bitmart spot connector and adding one for perpetual as well. In addition, a community member has requested support for multi accounts for Hyperliquid. This is a good example of working with a community member and creating a private bounty where it's funded by the community member, and we're just helping them, get that fixed done. We do have a few open bounties I want to call out. So these are open for any developer who wants to comment on the GitHub issue, and we do prioritize experience with Hummingbot when we sign these issues. So we have one open bounty to add a candles feed to Dexalot, which is open. So if you're interested, please raise your hand and comment on the issue. In addition, there's also two more Dexalot issues that are open on the board that should be opened up as well. And we'll soon announce Starknet as a new sponsor for Hummingbot Foundation. They'll be sponsoring a few bounties for new Starknet exchanges. In terms of sources of truth, check out the bounties board in Hummingbot. So you can always go to projects and bounties board to get the real-time status for the potential open bounties and which ones have been submitted and merged and paid. So as you can see, we've done over 137 paid bounties just tracked in GitHub alone. So this has been a pretty successful process, and we're continually trying to improve it. Next, I want to just quickly cover some of the top issues that the community has flagged on GitHub and on Discord. This is always just a way for you guys to get feedback as well. And you can let me know in the comments if these are issues you're having as well, or if there's other ones that you're seeing. So our QA team put this together. So some of the issues that people have with Hummingbot, one of the things is backtesting with Hummingbot. So here's a comment from Bounty Knight, who said he's trying to backtest my strat, but now it always shows up this none type has no update trading rules attribute. This will always happen for certain exchanges where the candles and the backtesting are kind of like need more development work. For example, I think Hyperliquid and Kraken are two exchanges I've encountered as well when where this happens, because those are two exchanges where the candles feed does exist. However, you still have issues like this. So, for example, let's say you do something like, say, Bollinger V1. If you basically do like this, where it's like KuCoin, you can do backtesting, and you can kind of do the backtesting like this. However, I believe if you select certain exchange combinations here, even if the exchange does have candles, sometimes backtesting might fail. So, for example, here's a result we just got for KuCoin. However, if I change this to Hyperliquid, yeah, so basically you'll get errors like this if you on certain. I believe Hyperliquid has this issue. So yeah, this is an issue I think we're tracking currently on GitHub. We'll likely create a bounty for this, but these are the kind of issues that users may have when they're trying to do backtesting on some of the newer exchange in the code base. So in summary, I would recommend doing the backtesting for like the major order book sexes that we support right now. So that would say those are Binance, OKX, KuCoin, and Gate should work well for this. But like Hyperliquid and some of the other exchanges where we recently added candles, I think some more work is needed here. So yeah, this I actually think this should be a relatively simple bug to fix. So I think hopefully we can get this fixed via bounty soon. I think backtesting is a really important feature. I'm really glad we added it this year, but clearly we had to spend a bit more time to make it accessible across all the exchanges that we can in the code base. Another kind of like issue that people tend to have is with the portfolio and the dashboard feature. So yeah, for instance, like if you do portfolio, if you add too many exchanges here, it'll take some time to load. And I think because yeah, like depending on how the inventory is fetched, it'll take some time. So to be honest, like we actually might revisit the design of this portfolio page in the future. I think this serves a really good purpose, but yeah, maybe we have something like we'll have like a fetch, per exchange or something like that. But currently, I think there can be issues if if you have like a zero balance or other issues here as well. So to basically, I would say just this portfolio page is something that is still I would call in beta. But if you have issues, it's likely related to certain exchanges you've connected or like certain tokens which are not kind of being displayed correctly. So yeah, so I think I'm getting this error here. I think because Hyperliquid, the portfolio has a different format from what we're expecting. In general, with dashboard is kind of like we kind of see it as a community kind of project. It's not like the main thing that Hummingbot does, but I think it's an important application. But overall, I think the config generators and the deployment are the areas where we're spending more time on. The portfolio tab is hopefully it's helpful, but it probably definitely needs some improvement. So if anyone from the community actually wants to propose a different design or wants to even take over this page, we're happy for them to do so. Here's a request from someone in the community for a Binance US connector. Currently, we support the Binance Global connector. In the past, there was a hack where you could change the API endpoints, and it would basically work correctly for Binance US. So in the past, we actually did have that, but basically, it was just still using the same kind of code base as Binance, under the hood. So I think, unfortunately, we've seen that you actually do need a separate connector for Binance US because there are so idiosyncrasies. Now there's, I think the API is kind of different now, and so I think that if the community wants to have a connector for Binance US, they should they should basically go through the governance process. So you can propose a new connector with a pull request, and I think that if there's enough support from the community. We may be able to try to get some compliance to us to support it. The issue I would say, generally speaking, is that as a user myself, I think Kraken has better liquidity for US users, and it has lower fees, if I'm not mistaken. So I think the issue with Binance US I've used in the past is it actually has much lower liquidity, and the liquidity is kind of like dropping every month. So unfortunately, if I were in the US, I would try to use Kraken or Coinbase or whatever. Some more questions are said in Quants Lab. So Quants Lab is intended to be a research environment. So it's not really intended to be like used out of the box. But overall, I think that the way you're supposed to use it is install from source, and then you can use the make install command to set up your Conda environment, and then you can activate Conda activate Quants Lab, and then you can use the notebooks in Quants Lab. There's also a task rudder element of Quants Lab where you can use it to automate tasks. To do that, you want to use a Docker container. So that's where I think there's this Docker compose tasks .yaml, and that's only for tasks. But I think the main use case, and the one that we illustrate in the live streams, is using Quants Lab to kind of do research, collect data, backtest strategies. For that method, we recommend installing Quants Lab from source. Secor says, I don't know if there's a lot of people affected, but in my country, I can't use USDT to trade on Binance Perpetual. Is trading as BNFCR. Can something be done about it? That is possible, actually. So what I would recommend is I would try to create a GitHub issue and just add as much info as you can. And you can also post the issue on Discord, like on the CLOB connectors channel. It's likely that if you're having the issue, other people are having the issue too. So a lot of folks can maintain kind of private forks of Hummingbot, or those kind of things. And typically, there are workarounds for things like this. There's it might be pretty easy for someone to add like a flag and say, if your country is X, then show Y. To create the issue, we actually do have funds in the Binance connector pot for things like this, and I think this is an important aspect of because we can only test for certain countries. There may be issues that are geographically specific like this that we don't know about, but it might be affecting a lot of people in the community. Overall, Quants Lab, we recommend install from source, and then so here's some info here in the agenda on how to set it up from source and using the VSC plugin. So overall, our team spends a lot of time monitoring the open issues on GitHub. That's why GitHub tends to be the best way to get something resolved, because basically every open issue, we will usually try to triage it and see if it's something that should be a bounty or something our engineering team needs to review. So here are the top 3 issues that our QA team identified from GitHub. So there's an ongoing issue currently with the Binance futures connector. So actually, I think that this is actually is the issue that I think S1 core mentioned actually. So actually, this actually might be the one that you mentioned as S1 core. So you probably want to take a look at this GitHub issue. I'll put it here. I think this actually might be the one that you're talking about. I do think that this issue it does seem to be affecting quite a number of countries. So yeah, this issue is probably one that we should be allocating a bounty for. This is probably because of the in the EU they have a new policy, related to stable coins, or something like that, and this is probably in order to satisfy that regulatory requirement. So I do think this should be relatively easy for Hummingbot to resolve. I think we just need to probably have a developer who's located in one of these countries who can implement a fix and test it out and make sure it works. Here's another issue. This one is it's the unhandled error in background task non-hexadecimal issue found. I believe this one is actually I think Nikita has some issues on the workarounds here. This is actually I think that this is probably related to the connector. It's part of the connector adapter, because basically what happens is when you start Hummingbot, it will try to decrypt all the keys you have. So if one of your API keys isn't working, or there's some issue there, it's going to resolve in kind of errors. So let's see. Okay, got it. So overall, yeah, I do think because a lot of people are encountering this issue, there's probably something that we can do to improve the user experience. Either publish a workaround that people can find more easily, or do something with Hummingbot so that this type of thing at the very least is ignored. Because I think a lot of these issues are actually not really related. It's kind of like in theory, if you have connected exchange and it's working properly, you shouldn't see this error. But I think a lot of people, if they see this error, they assume it's not working correctly. And then the final one, here's one about failed order events. So failed orders are always something that we try to take pretty seriously, because the hard thing that Hummingbot's really doing is maintaining the same local state as what's happening on the exchange. And so usually if there's failed orders or duplicate orders, or lost orders, it's a sign that the state is not being tracked properly. Here's one: the user was trying to run the super turn strategy, but I think these are kind of issues that a lot of times it can be unclear whether it's a bug that's on the connector side, could be an exchange side, could be in the connector code, could be in the strategy code. So a lot of times, we really rely on the community to flag these kind of issues, and then we will usually try to triage them, replicate them, and then hopefully create a bounty for a developer to pick up. Okay, so just moving on a bit. For overall, please use GitHub as the primary place to post issues, because then our team can find them more easily. Last but not least, let me talk about governance. So governance is an important part of what we do. We are preparing for the next quarterly polls, in which we will be allowing the community to vote for which exchanges are supported, and how much maintenance budget is allocated to each one. So as I mentioned earlier, we've added this new HBOT Purchases tab into the HBOT Tracker. So this will track the buybacks that we do based on fee share. So in the first proposal, the community is having us buy by 50% of the OKX fee share. And I think that we'll do that for 3 months. And I think if there's other proposals in the future then that have us buy back tokens, I think it'll be a good thing, because as I mentioned earlier, it'll help us balance the supply and demand for HBOT in the market. A couple of recent proposals. I want to kind of celebrate the use of the governance system by the community. So the system is really designed, I think, for the community to tell us which exchanges should be in the code base. Because each connector requires maintenance. So having lots of connectors means that we're constantly allocating time and bandwidth to each exchange in the code base, trying to make sure that Hummingbot can evolve as a standard while improving the connectivity to each exchange. So because of that, I think those are quite important because if they pass, it means that the connector is merged into the code base, and then it's almost like the foundation is assuming responsibility for having this piece of code that's available to everyone. So that's why we added Ergo as a new Dex recently, and then we also added BingX. So the BingX connector is actually being maintained by the folks from Roboter.ai, which has been a long time community team that's been using Hummingbot and building a business around Hummingbot. So and we're excited for Roboter to kind of support BingX because from our side, it's hard to support every exchange well, and I think having a community team that can support one exchange really helps us out a lot. So I think that's pretty much it for today's community call. I think that I mentioned earlier, we'll try to make these calls a bit more regimented in the future and really try to cover all the information that the community needs to understand what's going on with Hummingbot in the next few weeks. So things you can look forward to. So we'll have the 2.2 release next week. We'll continue to do live streams every Friday. This Friday we'll be starting a series on AMM strategies, and we'll continue to be publishing videos to YouTube as well, because like the directional strategy video. Because overall, we've expanded Hummingbot quite a lot in 2024. We've added the v2 framework. We've added Quants Lab. We're making lots of changes to our Dex connectors now. So because of all these changes, it's really important that we bring the community along with us. We add kind of content like this, in live streams and YouTube videos that show people how to use all the stuff that we've been adding. So that's why I think next year we're still planning the schedule, but we'll probably do a few less bot camp cohorts, so we can really focus on creating courses, YouTube videos, and other more public kind of educational resources. But I think we kind of have the right structure for Hummingbot now. We have Hummingbot and a few other repos that kind of help people use the core code base. And I think next year it's really going to be about kind of making the whole ecosystem better. Improving the connectors, improving the UI of dashboard, improving the Dex connectors. But I think it's we've added a lot of stuff this year. Next year it'll be just making the whole thing more usable, polished, and reliable. But overall, I do think that we've come a long way, because now we're really starting to see people kind of use Hummingbot as a trusted part of their operations and depend on Hummingbot as as a core component of their algo trading stack. And so now you can do a lot more things with it now than you could in the past. So overall, we're really excited about the future, and hopefully you are as well. I think that's pretty much about it for this month's community call. We'll do this again next month. I think we'll actually try to publish more of a schedule, so we have these calls on the calendar. But overall, I think we'll try to move back to monthly cadence after this next year, and just do a monthly call and a release every month. So thanks everyone. Happy holidays, and happy New Year as well.